Hi everybody, welcome once again to Out of the Ordinary into the Extraordinary. I'm Robert Taylor, coming to you on WMTV5 from our studios at the beautiful Grosse Pointe War Memorial. And if you're a frequent viewer, you know we bring you folks on the show who are exceptional in the metaphysical realm, the healing arts and the creative arts. Our guest today has been on several times on the show over the years, and he covers all three of those different subjects. Gives us great pleasure to welcome back Robert Haskins to the show. Welcome, Robert.
Thank you, Robert. Yeah. It's a pleasure always to be here.
And of course, you have two different hats. You work in the holistic health field.
Yes, I do.
And you are a master graphologist.
That is correct, okay.
And we did meet originally with you as a master graphologist.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And maybe a little bit later on in the show, we'll talk a little bit about what you do with that.
Okay.
But today you are going to talk about a big concern of yours. Tell us about the big health concerns that you're worried about.
Yes, well, right now I'm worried about people in terms of relationships and also their health. As a homeopathic practitioner, in terms of people's health, we do what you call an herbal crystallization analysis. We have you stick out your tongue, we put a slide on it, bring it back down, put a drop of copper chloride on it. It crystallizes. From that, we can tell all the herbs that the body needs for the heart, the kidneys, the lungs, the colon, the pancreas, the digestive system, the lymphatic system, all the parasites that you have in your body, all the metal and chemical poisons that you have in your body, wow, as well as all the viroids and viruses and infections.
All from that?
All from that. People's concern today is about the bird flu, Norwalk, SARS, etc. They don't have to worry about that if they have the herbal crystallization analysis. And this is no ploy for business, but it's to highlight the fact that no one does anything about viroids, viruses, parasites, and metal and chemical poisons until it has invaded the body to the tune of 75 to 80%. Mm-hmm. At which time we're a day late and $1 short. And normally it's fatal, or we get deathly sick. When you have the herbal crystallization analysis, this allows us to look at your body and let you know how you're dealing with yourself. Oftentimes people say, hey, I've just got an ailment, and or something wrong with the prostate, or they think that I have breast cancer. They're going to do a biopsy. They go into the hospital and they're cut on, for trite expression. Yeah. They're cut on. And at that particular time, people don't realize that once you're cut on, all of the infections in your body seem to come alive. And if we don't do anything about them, then they get worse in terms of staph infections, viroids, and viruses. So it's important for everyone, if you're going to have some type of operation, or you're going to go in for a hernia operation, breast, you find out that you have cancer and you're going to have chemo, it's important to find out how your circulatory system is, how your immune system organs are, and find out how much plaque you have in terms of the heart, the kidneys, stress, etc. These are all involved, as well as the metal and chemical poisons.
Otherwise, you could have some kind of disastrous result from the operation.
Exactly.
Which we've seen many times.
Exactly, 100%. If you say, for instance, about 2 years ago, no, it's been about 3 years ago. Time flies when you're having fun. 3 years ago, there was this rash of bacterial meningitis, streptococcus.
Oh, I remember that.
And
especially amongst the students.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a couple students in the area as well as in Ann Arbor. Anyway, they were given a vaccine without checking their immune system organs. And it made them deathly sick, okay? So it's important in that the doctors, we need them. They're blessed angels, disciples of the Master. But if you don't check for virus, infections, parasites, metal and chemical poisons, then you don't know. When you take a vaccine, this is a homeopathic. This is some of the bug that's bothering you.
It's the homeopathic principle.
Exactly.
By administering a very teensy-weensy bit of the disease, you become immune to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if your immune system organs are down and they're not functioning, then this is like giving you a dose, sometimes a single dose or a double dose, depending on what they give you.
And these days, our immune system is definitely compromised by whether it be the atmosphere, the lack of nutrition that the body's getting, right?
Exactly. 100%.
We're being kind of bombarded by everything, so the immune system's really down.
Exactly. But what we do, we take and help you build up your immune system. And most often, there's a lot of plaque buildup. What we do with God's blessings is to give you an herb that decalcifies the arteries, another herb that decreases the cholesterol, and then we give you another herb which is like a gentle roto-rooter. It cleans out all the arteries. Then we give you another herb that adds nutrients to the newly exposed arteries. Now,
so if you've got plaque also, the nutrients aren't getting into your system.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, it's just like when we were kids and we played with the garden hose, you know, and we said, well, it's off, and then we let it go and sprays. And then picture your blood vessels being clogged with plaque, okay? And the blood can't circulate. Then tied to that, the fact that the lymphatic system is down, is sickly. It's got parasites in it. And it can't purify the blood before it goes throughout the arteries. Now, when plaque buildup, which we're talking about, high blood pressure, emphysema, asthma, liver difficulties, kidney difficulties, prevention of strokes. A lot of the strokes could have been prevented if the cholesterol was eliminated, okay?
Let me ask you one thing too, is what exactly is the herbal crystallization analysis, and where did it come from?
It came from Rudolf Steiner. He used to do crystallized configurations of blood. Then his protege, Dr. Brenham, he stumbled upon the fact that saliva from the tongue. And real quickly, one of his cohorts came in and says, Doc, could I have a glass of water? And he gave him a glass of water. So he put the glass back on the counter. About 10, 20 minutes later, he picked up the glass with the rubber gloves on, which had the copper chloride, and put it on the sink. So he's getting ready to read up at the end of the day, and he looked at a crystallized configuration where his lips were on the glass. And so he grabbed the glass, put it under a microscope, and found out that there was presence, a crystallized configuration for hawthorn, bayberry, and unidigato, which is cat's claw. So he called him and he said, Harold, look, are you having some trouble with your heart? He said, don't you get on me too. My wife has been on me. I've got the prescription in my pocket and I'm going to go get it squared away. He says, no, hold on, come back down to the lab. So he came back to the lab and he said, stick out your tongue, and he put a slide on the tongue, and he found out that from the crystallization of the saliva on the human tongue, and this is also good for animals, and I'll have to tell you about the racehorses that I worked with one time. All of the crystallized configurations for the herbs that your body needs to heal the body are on the saliva crystallization of the tongue. Then we take and parallel these with 1,800 to 2,000 known crystallized patterns. And this is what the herbal crystallization analysis is. We compare it with urine analysis, with hair follicle analysis, and nothing has been as more exact and precise. Real quickly, last evening a friend called, and she said that my friend is going through some changes, and she shows signs of having some difficulties. What can you do for her? So I explained to her what we could do with the herbal crystallization analysis. So sending out a slide today, prior to meal, getting the sample of the saliva, and then I'll be able to tell her such that when she goes to the doctor, finds out what he has to say, then she could deal with the herbal treatment. So it's important that people know that just like the yearly physical, they should have an herbal tracer analysis, because the regular physical doesn't check for viroids, viruses, infections, metal and chemical poisons, and parasites. Also, I might add, there's a parasite called threadworms that has the ability to form a ball. This is where our tumors come from. And we know cancer is a virus, a tumor, or an infection. And with God's blessings, we can let people know what they're dealing with. And then, as they get their second opinion, and they start on radiation or chemo, then the herbs will not only de-enhance the side effects from the medication, but it also will help heal the body. The beautiful thing about herbal crystallization analysis is the fact that once we find out all the herbs that the body needs, then the parasites can no longer eat up 65% of everything that we ingest, including good medication and good food, and leave that toxic waste in our body. This is what we're confronted with right now. When you do the test, it not only brings all the organs back up such that they can function like they're supposed to do, but it also starts whacking away at the parasites, the metal and chemical poisons, the viroids, and the infections. Okay?
And we're seeing so much in our day and age of all these autoimmune diseases, and so much we're hearing about ADD, ADHD, and you know, it makes you wonder if it's also diet related, and you know, we're just not getting the nutrients in the body.
Well, you're correct. This is one of the other features. Through graphotherapy and graph analysis, as well as herbal crystallization, we can determine ADD, ADHD, bipolar, deep repression, all from the crystallization analysis. And we've been advocating that if you have been on Prozac, Ritalin, Paxil, then it's time for you, and you're still feeling wobbly, so to speak, and you're still feeling up and down, it's good to get the crystallization analysis and consider herbs. I found out in my last 30 years that 85% of the people who came to me with having Prozac, having ADD, ADHD, it wasn't because of a defect in the frontal lobe of the brain, but it was because of environmental, metal, and chemical poisons. We can treat that with God's blessings, okay? And get people together.
Well, certainly we're dealing with, especially amongst our children, so much increase in all these problems, and it makes you wonder what the cause is, you know, and you see, again, we've talked about this on the show over and over, the school cafeteria has now been handed over to the big food corporations. They're not getting nutrition, and then in the hallways at the schools we have all the Coke machines, and it makes you wonder why these kids don't have they have an attention problem at school.
Exactly. Well, you know, I think we talked about this the last time. I've done a study of all the children that have committed drastic acts, Columbine, as well as the people in post offices, as well as in car companies. And every one of the people that I checked out had ADHD or ADD. some were bipolar. And it wasn't that they were bad people, but the metal and chemical poisons are killers. They take a brilliant person, a good person, a well-educated person, and it knocks them out of the ballpark. Okay?
Now, where is all that coming from?
Environment, okay? The metal and chemical poisons, aluminum, arsenic, okay, plumb bomb, lead. I mean, they're out there.
It's in the atmosphere.
Exactly. In the food. We give a meticulous breakdown in terms of doing the herbal trace analysis. We don't just tell you all this. We give you sometimes 8 to 10 pages of the herb that you need, how much you need, and what it does. Metal and chemical poisons, the parasites, the viroids and infections. And people say, wow, Mr. Haskins, am I alive now? I said, no. Yes, you are alive, okay? But no one has ever checked. You just need a tune-up, okay? A physical tune-up. Because if you don't, then this is where you start bending over and you say, oh my God, I can't get back up.
So what you're saying basically is after the analysis, then the whole goal of your goal and their goal is to somehow purify the system.
Exactly, purify the
Because
system.
until you purify that system, you're not really going to, have any effect.
Right, you're right as rain. We provide the herbs too. I've been using the same 2 manufacturers with a couple inserts for the last 30 years. And I can swear by them. And if you have faith in yourself and you really want to get well, okay, then we can help you. But if you're not serious, if you don't want to get well, if you want to keep the high blood pressure, if you want to keep the ADD, ADHD, no problem. But it's been one of the most unique, fantastic innovations that I've come across in terms of working in the health field.
It's fantastic.
And I'm very happy about it.
Now, where can people get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you?
They can call here to the station and you can refer them.
Yeah. I'm
going to leave a couple flyers and cards. And I'm located right in Ferndale, Michigan, okay? And the number is 248-541-4412. And also can be reached by my website, okay? And they can call me at any time.
Do you have can you give us the website right off?
I don't know it offhand, but I don't want to give them the wrong one.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, once again, we are with Robert Haskins. He is a homeopathic practitioner. He's also a master graphologist. And we should maybe talk a bit about that too. You, of course, you do your graphology. Graphology is handwriting analysis. You've done it for many, many years in the courts, helping with analyzing criminals, and you've also done it for entertainment purposes.
Exactly.
But do you also use those 2 skills together ever?
Yes, definitely, every day. See, handwriting is brainwriting, to let people know who haven't heard of it before. Handwriting is brainwriting. When you write, your signature is an expression of your conscious mind. Anything other than your signature is expression of your subconscious. We call it graphotherapy. Graphotherapy coincides with psychotherapy invented in the 1890s by Freud and Jung. They advocated that learned experiences from the inner mind, which is also the subconscious mind, helps to shape childhood experiences, which are responsible for who you are. When you sit down with me, initially you don't write. I mean, you don't talk, you write. And I let you know what you're doing in your life right now, what you've been doing for the past 3 to 5 years, what you've done in your childhood that you brought in your adulthood that's affecting you, namely fear of failure, emotional repression, frustration, anxiousness, extrovert, introvert, suicidal tendencies, manic depressive states, primary temper, benevolency, spirituality, guardedness, such that whether you have ADD or ADHD or bipolar, such that if you're repressed, okay, if you are at a state of mind whereby you've regressed, okay.
That's all in the handwriting.
Exactly. 2,458 different details we can discern from the handwriting. Okay,
2,458. That's pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
Now, I'm not even a handwriting expert, but I never forget, I saw a show on Frontline about one of these boys that had gone into high school and had killed also killed his mother and father.
Oh, yes, yes.
Out in Oregon. And they showed a sample of his writing. Immediately you could see this is a disturbed human being.
I captured that, and I studied it also. And I got that in my pile of documents, such that earlier when I said that I made a comparative study of the different people, and that was fantastic. I thank God for it, you know.
Yeah.
But it all can be, we can help people if they would allow us to talk to a child that skipped classes, that was having trouble. And we did an in-depth assessment and an herbal tracer analysis. Then we could stop this. Okay, people say, aren't you being kind of haughty what you can do? No, God didn't make any junk. Nobody can tell you what to do but yourself. But if you don't know, okay, if you haven't had a chance to be loved, to have mother or father say, you go get him, son, or come in here and get a big hug, okay, from father as well as mother. Tell me what it's about. Then you grow up being led by the society. Not putting anything down with it, but people are beautiful. People are this world, okay? And they're all good. But each person has to know themselves. There's a statement, an unexamined life is not worth living. Know thyself. Followed up with, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And last but not least, asking it shall be given to you, seeking you shall find, knocking the door shall be open unto you.
Beautiful verses.
Promise, lo, I'll be with you always. Now, I took this to heart before I started doing all my work at 11 years old. And I sat down at 15 and put on 3x5 cards what I wanted to do at 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. I'm sitting here today having done everything that I planned then. And the reason being is that because when I ask, knock, and seek, and the Father said, lo, I'll be with you always, he wasn't just whistling Dixie. I'm an example, a living example. When I do my graphical therapy, with God's blessings, I let you know everything that you need to know right now to bring yourself up, to like yourself, love yourself. When I do the herbal crystallization analysis, I let you know what your body is saying, such that you can get better. You can heal the body.
And that you need a really good vehicle here to operate in the world. If you don't have your health, and at the same time you don't have your faculties, you know.
That's it.
Yeah.
If it's a mental thing that you're having difficulty with, it'll change physical. And if it's a physical thing, it'll change mental. So many people are dealing with Alzheimer's, and I feel very strongly that this doesn't have to happen.
Do you have a definition of why you think there's so much of the Alzheimer's going on?
Metal and chemical poisons, okay? Parasites, poor immune systems, okay? Blocked arteries. And it's sad because there's dialysis clinics coming up like tulips in the springtime, okay? People are having angioplasty, bypass, like it's, you know, playing sports. And this shouldn't be. People are having strokes. And this shouldn't be. It's all plaque buildup. And you get a yearly physical, and then all of a sudden, you get a stroke. I'm not putting anybody down, but who's looking at the cholesterol? Who's looking at the clogged arteries? All these fancy machines that we have cost millions of dollars. The tests, one test could probably supply everybody with a crystallization analysis in a city, a small town. But I'm saying that if you don't know, you don't know. And you depend on the doctors to let you know. You depend when you have a physical that someone is going to let you know. You got plaque buildup, Robert, or you got plaque buildup. Your immune system is down, okay? You got a viroids and viruses. And it's not too good.
Well, we're going to hopefully have everybody come and you change it around there.
Okay, with God's blessings.
Yeah.
With God's blessings.
So once again, give us that phone number if somebody wants to get a hold of you.
248-541-4412.
And I've even worked with Robert in doing parties and stuff. He's fantastic, entertaining with guests. If you're interested in a handwriting analysis, also fantastic. And we'd like to thank you for joining us on Out of the Ordinary into the Extraordinary. And once again, if you need to get a hold of Robert, you can also get a hold of him at 881-7511. We'd like to thank you all for joining us on Out of the Ordinary. And Robert will agree. God is alive. Magic is afoot. Thank you.
Amen.